Hi everyone, Alchemist here. Today, I want to share with you the story of the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama Buddha. It's an inspirational story and I was intrigued by it for many years. The story of the Buddha is really inspirational and it can teach us a lot of things. So I want to share this with you in this video, and maybe you will find it inspirational too. The Buddha, his name, Siddhartha Gautama, he was actually born as a prince, a royal prince. He was born as a prince and he had all the riches of the world. He had everything, like treasures. He lived in a castle, servants, things that back in the day in India was not a common thing. He was of a very high caste. And an astrologer, a gifted man, told his father, the king, he told him that his son is going to be either an emperor or a sage. He's going to be either or. When he was born, that man foresaw that Gautama, Siddhartha, is going to be either an emperor or a sage, but it's going to be up to him. So his father, being a king, definitely wanted Gautama to be an emperor and not a sage. So to make sure that he's gonna become an emperor, he made everything possible for him to stay in the castle. He didn't want him to see life outside of the castle. So he made sure he's always in the castle. He's surrounded by food, by luxury, by anything that he wants, by servants, by anything. And he never let him see the outside world. Never. Because he thought that him seeing the outside world will affect him negatively, and maybe it's gonna mess him up, and he's not gonna be the emperor that he's supposed to be. So he stayed inside that castle and luxury and you know, this kind of lavish lifestyle. And then one day he grew curious. He grew curious about what's going on outside of the castle. And mind you, at this point he was already married, because his father, the king, found him this beautiful wife that he got married to. And not only he was married to her, but they had a baby, they had a kid. So Siddhartha Gautama had a kid with her. But one day he grew really curious and he asked one of his servants in secrecy in his chariot to take him outside to see what's outside of the world, what's going on out there. And he went outside, and then he started to see the real world for what it is. On his way out the first day, he saw an old man, and he didn't understand what was that. He's never seen an old man before. And he asked the chariot driver, the guy who was driving the chariot, he asked him, well, what is this? And he told him, oh, this is just an old guy. And Siddhartha was so surprised to see that people who are old. And he told him, does this happen to everyone? He's like, yes, everyone is gonna get old one day, including you. You're gonna get old too. So he was shocked. And then they still were going on, you know, their exploration of outside the castle. And then he saw someone, I think it was a beggar or something, and he was sitting and he was like sick. He looked like a sick person. And he told him, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he like this? And the guy, his chariot driver told him, oh, he's just sick. He's a sick person. And then he asked, do people get sick? And then he was answered, yes, of course people get sick. It can happen to anyone. And then another time he saw a funeral of someone dead. And then he asked again, what is this? What is this? And the chariot driver told him, this is a funeral of someone who died. And he told him, die? As in like, that's it, they're gone from life, they don't exist anymore? And he told him, yeah. And it's gonna happen to everyone. I told him, it's gonna happen to me too. I'm royal. He told him, yes, it's gonna happen to you too. It happens to everyone. No one can escape that. So the Buddha, or his name, Siddhartha Gautama, grew very curious, even more and more curious about life, more than ever, because he was impressed and intrigued by these simple things that he's never seen before, like death or being sick or being old and many, many other things. And for 1 year, he was like really, he wasn't in peace anymore. He grew curious and he wanted to know what it is like to be in the world and to see what the world for what it really is. And for 1 year, he kept going out and exploring in secrecy, until I think after about a year or so of doing the same, he couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't take it. It was really, really, really hard for him to leave his wife and his child, his infant baby. It was so hard for him. But I assume that he figured out that they're in a palace, they're in a castle, they're gonna be taken care of anyways, although it's hard. And one night he couldn't take it anymore, and in secrecy, while everyone was sleeping in the middle of the night, he packed up little clothes and little, just very, very small portions of food, and he just left. He left his royalty, he left the castle, he left the treasures, he even left his wife and kid to seek, to explore, and most importantly, to become what he has become. And he's gonna go on a series of journeys throughout India, learning from different schools, from different monks, from different people, learning about life. And eventually he became a Semana. And a Semana is a type of monk back in those days in India, where you go out traveling. You're just, your sole purpose is to keep moving forward from one village to the next, one city to the next, one village to the next, and without asking for anything, without asking for money, for food. And then people who live in these villages and who live in these cities, they're the ones who feed the Semanas. They can see that they're monks traveling for something divine, for something that's bigger than themselves, which is divine enlightenment, if you will. So people, when they see Semanas passing by their villages, they go cook food and give it to them, because they know that without that food, they don't have any food. But the Semanas won't even ask for food, because that's part of their quest to finding enlightenment. He had some followers, and they were traveling for so long, for years and years, for about 4 or 5 years. They were just traveling and walking. When I say traveling, I mean walking. There's nothing that takes you, there's no cars, there's no, technology, you're walking. And then at some point, Siddhartha Gautama grew very, very weak, because they didn't eat for so long, and they didn't have food for so long. And they were going for so long without food, and he became so weak and so frail and very skinny, and he barely had any power. And then he reached this river, and in this river he had to cross it. They had to cross the river, and as he started crossing the river, he realized that he didn't have any power to cross the river. He thought he was gonna die. He was just gonna collapse. And then he was holding on to this branch, and as he was holding on to this branch, because he, with the few power he had left to even sustain himself standing up, he had this moment where he realized he was embodying everything. He embodied everything within himself. And when he realized that everything that he was looking for, he realized at that moment that it was within him, that it was inside of him. Everything that he was looking for, it was within himself and nowhere else. Then when he realized that, he had a little more strength to cross the river, and he ended up crossing the river. And then there was a tree there, and then he sat by that tree. And then he just went into the state of meditation. And that is the famous tree that many people visit, the tree where the Buddha became enlightened. And that tree is still visited, I think, nowadays in India. It's somewhere in India. And he was there for a while, and his followers were following him eventually, and they realized that he was in this state of trance. Something was happening to him. He was getting basically enlightened, realizing that everything is him, that he is everything and everything is him, that everything is within him, what many people like to call oneness. When he realized that, and then he came out of his trance of meditation, and then his followers were like, what's going on? What happened? What happened? They were waiting for him to give them the revelation of existence, of what is creation. They were just so, they were like, so tell us what it is. What's the answer? What is the answer to enlightenment? And then he looked at them and he said, why don't we cook something and eat? The nature of enlightenment is to enjoy what life is about, is to understand the nature of life. Because he realized that for all these years, they were doing what they were doing for kind of no reason. You depriving yourself from food or from the joys of life is not gonna get you anywhere. And he told them, let's eat. And food is one of the pleasures of life. This is already in itself a huge lesson. Food is one of the biggest pleasures of life. If you remove food from humanity, from humans, then you can't enjoy anything else. Food is the biggest pleasure. And him saying, let's cook and eat some food, since they haven't eaten in so long, just the message right there is that these pleasures of life, we need to take advantage of them and we need to understand them. Not destructive pleasures, the pleasures that make us human beings, like eating. And it doesn't mean that you have to go and indulge and just stuff yourself with unhealthy foods. By no means, that's not what he was trying to say. But this is true wisdom. And then these followers, when they learned this, they're the ones who left him. The followers who were following him for years and years, they were following him when he was not enlightened and when he was miserable trying to understand what life is all about. And when he became enlightened and he told them, let's cook some food and eat, they left him. So this is another lesson here, that be careful of the people who follow you. Some people might follow you because like attracts like. Maybe they follow you for your misery. Maybe they follow you for the depression you're going through. Maybe they follow you not because you're at a certain point or a certain level of experience and wisdom and expansion. Maybe that's not what they're for. Maybe they want to keep you where you are. So know who you surround yourself with. Surround yourself with the people who are gonna be happy for your glory, for your wisdom, for your knowledge. People who appreciate you for that, not the people who want to see you miserable. So when the Buddha said, when Siddhartha Gautama, that's his name, when he said, let's cook some food, they left him. Because he's not the miserable person that they knew anymore. Now he's enlightened. Now he knows. He knows what it is like to enjoy life. And from there on, he became the Buddha. Buddha in Hindu, I think, simply means the enlightened one, or the one who reached above, who reached enlightenment. Something similar within these words. That's what the Buddha means. So his name was not Buddha. Buddha is his title after he became enlightened. But his name is Siddhartha Gautama. That's his name in India. After that, he was sharing his wisdom with everyone, and his knowledge spread around the world, and it reached even Tibet, because the Tibetan monks, they're Buddhist. They follow that kind of that sect of Hinduism. Because Buddhism, I see it as a sect of Hinduism, because Buddhism came from Hinduism through Siddhartha. Because by the time Siddhartha was on his quest to becoming the Buddha, there was thousands of different schools of India that teaches Hinduism and yoga and different yogic systems. It became so confusing, and when a dogma or a teaching or a regime loses its simplicity, then it becomes just confusing. And the more confusing it becomes, then it defies its own original purpose. Then you cannot really learn from it anymore. That reminds me actually of alchemy. That's why when I talk about alchemy, I try to simplify it, because alchemy is an amazing art of transformation. But in the medieval ages and medieval times, it has become so complicated that it has lost its original purpose, which is to actually help people transform into becoming who they truly are and know the nature of existence and the spiritual nature of creation. So in these times in India, where these schools of yoga were just becoming so confusing, Gautama Buddha helped bring those teachings into unity, simplifying them, making them more logical, more feasible, more understandable and digestible for people. That's what he did. And the biggest lesson for me I get here is that I think his quest and his story, however it was planned, originally it started with riches, with wealth, with success, with luxury. This is, in our day and age, this is what people want to get to. The Buddha started there. The Buddha started there. This is good to keep in mind for everyone, that these riches and these luxuries and these success that everyone wants to reach is not what's gonna get you to understanding creation. It's not the key. The Buddha was given this since day one, so he can realize that it's not about that. And by realizing that, he went on becoming what he became, the legend, the unbelievable, amazing Buddha that changed millions and millions of people's lives around the world. Now, let me tell you this. If Siddhartha decided to stay in his castle and enjoy his money and luxury over and over and over, would he have become the Buddha? No. You wouldn't hear his name. No one would know about him. No one would even know about this person, and Buddhism wouldn't even be created in the world. But because he chose to leave these riches and these money and this success and this luxury behind for the quest to understanding what creation is all about, what spirituality is all about, to understanding the realm of the unseen, the realm of creation. That's what his quest was all about, that. Because he went for that, he became the Buddha. So him becoming the Buddha that changed millions and millions and millions lives. For hundreds of years, even this day and age, people still follow him and people still talk about him. In order for him to do so, he had to leave money and riches behind. In this day and age, we're trying to do the opposite. We're trying to get to the money and the riches. And the story of the Buddha teaches us that it's not about that it's actually a fatal mistake if you chase money and luxury and all of these lavish things. If you chase them, you're gonna get there and you're not gonna find anything. You're not gonna find anything. That's the story that he's trying to teach us. And I think he was born as a royal on purpose, to show the world that it's not about being a royal. It's not about being rich. It's never about being luxurious and rich. I'm not saying that it's bad, or that people who have it shouldn't have it, or that it's a bad thing if you have a lot of money. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that if you want to move on to the next level, to ascend, to transcend this reality and know who you are and know within you the truth of existence and creation, and reach the end of your alchemical transformation, then the answer is it's not gonna be found with money. It's not gonna be found with luxury. That's the lesson. So the story of the Buddha is fascinating. You can, of course, read his story. There's many books, many books that share his story. So I wanted to share it with you. Maybe there's something for you to learn from his story. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about the Buddha and his teachings? Not his followers, not his religion, not Buddhism. I'm talking about Siddhartha Gautama. What do you think about him, about his character, about his life? Because that's what fascinates me the most. It's his character, his life, and how he became the Buddha. I hope this helps. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.